This 5'8" guard is dominating pros. Yuki Kawamura is unreal. Sometimes, players get overlooked simply because they don't fit the mold. But every so often, someone comes along and flips the script completely. From dropping 29 points against France in the Olympics to running the floor in the NBA like a seasoned vet, Yuki Kawamura is doing just that. At 5'8", he's not supposed to dominate at this level, but he is, and he's doing it his way. So how did he go from a small town in Japan to shaking up the NBA? And what makes his game so different from everyone else's? Well, let's break it down. The underdog from Yanai. Yuki Kawamura grew up in Yanai, a quiet city tucked away in Japan's Yamaguchi Prefecture, far from the bright lights of Tokyo or the basketball circuits of the US. His start wasn't flashy, no elite prep academies or early scout circling. He was just a kid with a ball, relentless energy, and a dream that sounded way too big for his size, literally. He was small from the jump. Even as a teenager, his height lagged behind his peers, but that didn't stop him from tearing up high school courts across the country. Tokai University Fukuoka High School, Kawamura became a standout, not just for his playmaking, but for how he saw the floor. Like a chess player, always 2 moves ahead. He led his team to multiple national tournaments and quickly earned a reputation for precision passing and fearless shot-taking. By the time he graduated, he was one of the most talked about young point guards in the country, even without the physical frame usually associated with basketball prospects. His motivations were personal. He grew up idolizing Michael Jordan, watching VHS tapes and YouTube clips of classic Bulls games. But just as important to him was Ryota Miyagi, the fictional point guard from the anime Slam Dunk. Miyagi wasn't tall either, but he was fast, smart, and confident. Everything Kawamura wanted to be. In fact, he has worn the number 7 for most of his career in homage to that character. It was never just cosplay, it was a statement. He didn't follow the typical pipeline to the NBA. Instead of going through the US college system, he signed with the Yokohama B Corsairs in Japan's B League, where he averaged over 19 points and 8 assists per game in his final season before leaving. Scouts started noticing not because he was dominating physically, he wasn't, but because of how effortlessly he controlled tempo, picked apart defenses, and made teammates better. At 5'8", Kawamura had to fight for every opportunity, but he didn't try to prove he was bigger than he is. He just kept proving that it didn't matter, and even spoke about it at times.
I just want to prove and the Asian people and small guys like me can do well in the NBA. I'm proud of playing as a player from Asia. I want to do my best to meet expectations from my Japanese fans.
He made waves in Japan, but everything changed when he stepped onto the Olympic stage and went head-to-head with basketball's biggest stars. Olympic Spotlight, Paris 2024. Yuki didn't come into the 2024 Paris Olympics as a global name. He was known in Japan, sure, respected in the B League, and talked about in Asian hoop circles, but the international stage was new territory. Then came July 30th, 2024, when Japan played against France. On one side was Kawamura, 5'8", the shortest player in the entire tournament. On the other was Victor Wembanyama, France's 7'3" prodigy and the NBA's rising centerpiece. The size gap was ridiculous. The stakes were real, and the performance Kawamura delivered turned the game into something unforgettable. He dropped 29 points on a French team that was stacked with NBA talent and playing on home soil. It wasn't just the scoring, though that was impressive on its own. It was how he scored. He hit deep threes, snuck into tight spaces off the dribble, and ran the floor like he had been built for that moment. He didn't flinch when defenders rotated hard or when Wembanyama switched onto him. He used timing and angles instead of force. When the game went into overtime, Japan came up short, But Kawamura's performance stood out more than the final score. The numbers were just part of it. 29 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and a 53% shooting night against one of the tournament's most physically dominant teams. Social media lit up instantly. Clips of Kawamura shaking defenders and launching step-backs over taller players made their way from Japanese broadcasts to U.S. sports talk shows and highlight reels across Europe. It was the first time a lot of fans had ever heard his name. It wouldn't be the last. More than anything, that game put him on NBA radars. Teams had seen flashes in the B-League, but this was proof against world-class competition. Paris wasn't just his breakout. It was the shift from being a local favorite to a serious international prospect. That performance didn't just impress fans, it opened NBA doors. And Kawamura's next challenge was proving he belonged in the best league on earth. The NBA breakthrough. You see, after his Olympic performance turned heads, Yuki made his next move, crossing over to the NBA. In October 2024, he signed a two-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, giving him a shot at both the NBA and its developmental league, the G League. It wasn't a full-time roster spot, but it was a real door. And for someone who had just spent the previous season in Japan's B-League, it was a huge leap. Leaving the Yokohama B Corsairs wasn't just a career move, it was Kawamura's betting on himself. In his final season there, he averaged 19.5 points and 8.4 assists per game. He was the engine of that team. But the NBA is a different world, and the two-way deal meant he would be splitting time between the Grizzlies and their G League affiliate, the Memphis Hustle. A lot of international players might have taken a year or two to adjust. Kawamura didn't wait. In the G League, he got to work fast. He averaged 12.9 points and 9.1 assists per game, showing off the same pace and vision that got him noticed internationally. But the surprise came during the NBA preseason. In limited minutes, he played with a chip on his shoulder, threading passes through tight spaces, showing off quick pull-up jumpers, and never looking overwhelmed. The Grizzlies coaching staff took note. His IQ stood out. His court awareness was next level. And it didn't hurt that every time he touched the ball, something exciting happened. When he officially stepped on the court for the Grizzlies' regular season opener, he became the shortest active player in the NBA at just 5 feet 8 inches. He didn't shy away from it, he embraced it. In interviews, he spoke openly about wanting to show that height doesn't define who gets to belong in this league. And in each game, whether it was 3 minutes or 30, he played like someone who had nothing to lose.
They're screaming for Yuki to shoot this. A turnaround jumper. Why not, Yuki?
Earning a contract was just the start. Once on the court, Kawamura showed he wasn't just flashy, he was a true player. The Flash and floor general. This guy is not the biggest or the fastest, but once the ball is in his hands, everything slows down. For him, not for the defenders. He's a floor general in the purest sense, using angles, misdirection, and timing to control every possession. His signature no-look passes actually work. Not for show, just calculated, quick, and perfectly placed. In the G League with the Memphis Hustle, Kawamura averaged 12.9 points and 9.1 assists per game. Those numbers tell part of the story. What they don't show is how often he made something out of nothing, threading a bounce pass through 3 defenders or pulling up for a shot the moment his defender leaned the wrong way. He wasn't just running the offense, he was dictating pace, changing gears mid-play, and making sure everyone around him looked better. There were highlights that went viral for a reason. One of the biggest came in February during the Up Next G League showcase in San Francisco.
Guys were run
Kawamura
down. They
grabbed
were
the
tired
steal
because
without
of
even
the
looking.
scheduling
On
situation.
the
Oh,
steal.
Kawamura with a
Just
steal.
beyond.
Look at the throw. Bagley.
Marvin
Yes!
Bagley was third. Harder than strides.
Yuki.
The clip exploded online. People who didn't even know who Yuki was suddenly asking, wait, who is this kid? Another moment came in the Grizzlies' regular season finale. He sank a deep three, drew contact, and completed a 4-point play. That sequence, fast release, full control, and a calm knockdown at the line was exactly what fans had started to expect from him. And they made it clear. "We want Yuki" chants echoed through the arena more than once this season. It didn't matter if he was coming off the bench or just playing cleanup minutes, he brought electricity with him. His game speaks volumes, but his impact goes deeper. The culture shift. You see, Yuki isn't just building a name for himself in the NBA. He's changing what representation looks like for basketball fans across Asia. Over the past year, NBA viewership across Japan, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia have seen a noticeable bump. He's a key reason behind it. He's not just a player from Japan, he's a player fans see themselves in, especially the ones who never fit the usual mold. In Hong Kong, fan pages have popped up dedicated entirely to Kawamura's highlights. Local broadcasters are giving him more coverage than some all-stars. And it's not just because he's from Asia, it's because he plays with a mix of skill and style that resonates. The fact that he wears number 7 in honor of Ryoto Miyagi from Slam Dunk has only fueled the connection. For a lot of fans, that number carries real weight. Miyagi was quick, undersized, and determined. Kawamura turned that fiction into something real. That crossover between pop culture and pro sports has made him a cultural figure, not just a player. He's also become a new kind of role model for young hoopers in Japan. For decades, talent existed, but there was no clear path from Japan to the NBA, especially not for smaller guards. Players like Yuta Tebus opened the door in 2004 with a brief stint in Phoenix. Then came Yuta Watanabe, a versatile forward who carved out a role with teams like the Nets and Raptors. And of course, Rui Hachimura became a household name after being drafted in the lottery and playing for the Lakers. But all three of those players are over 6'6". Kawamura is doing it at 5'8". That matters. He's giving younger athletes a different kind of blueprint. One that says you don't need to be built like a forward or go through a U.S. college program to make it. His presence is helping change the narrative. And for a generation of fans, that shift is happening in real time. He is now chasing a standard, a full NBA contract, regular rotation minutes, and eventually a role that lasts. His short-term focus is obvious. Grind through the offseason, sharpen his shooting, and get stronger defensively. But the bigger picture? He's already living it. Kids across Japan are watching him like he once watched NBA stars on VHS. He's become a symbol of possibility, even if he hasn't technically made it yet. And who knows what happens next? If this is what Kawamura can do in limited minutes, imagine what happens when the training wheels come off. The journey isn't finished. In a league full of long odds and short memories, he's still writing his name, and people are finally starting to pay attention. So what do you think about Yuki Kawamura? Is he the next big thing, or is he already there? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories just like this.